What a difference a day makes. All the snow had melted, and now, beginning last night, we had a storm. It's supposed to end in a few hours. It's a substantial enough amount of snow, but I'm going over to Uncle Roger's for a little episode of Mirami-histor-chi.
Anyway,
So Roger's on the phone. I'm just gonna go upstairs into his place right here. I gotta just put that thing back. Now we've been downstairs. I think Roger made that for Margie's sewing machine. But we've been downstairs and Roger's got so much stuff filed downstairs. Well, guess what? This is his daughter Amanda's old bedroom. And he has this place full of documentation as well. Well, yeah. Welcome to another episode of Mirami-histor-chi. We got our chairs set up here. That'll be our background. We did have our chairs set up right here before, and that was our background. But that gorgeous little thing right there was a little bit too hot on our backs. So Roger's got her all set up here, folks. Ready to go today. I think we're tackling the year 1987.
early stuff there.
Okay.
And then, Industrial League, this is when Rogersville had a powerful club, eh?
Okay.
And they just won. But in here they're just more or less naming league champions down through the years, like starting in 69, 70.
Okay.
And then this Bordage lad, he was the scoring champion there.
Okay.
Anyway,
right on.
so what they did, they named some league scoring champions starting in 70, 71.
Okay. I see where you're getting.
And then they were just running down like some names, eh?
Okay. I see a familiar name there. And by the way, we're on. And it's Friday, 2 o'clock. We're here with the local historian, Mr. Roger Como. And welcome to Miss Mirami-histor-chi. I think we're at number 14 today. I was gonna come in yesterday, and Roger and I actually pulled out 1987 is what we're doing. Went through, did a little sorting, mostly Raj. He doesn't let me touch anything. And just like when we're playing hockey, he doesn't let me touch the puck. He's America's biggest puck hog. But, people, I've been running into a few people. People are enjoying our little thing here, Raj. And, just to be transparent here, why are we doing this? Well, I'm an artist living in Vancouver. I'm home for my dad just passed away. And I'm doing this because, A, it's a time to spend with Roger, my uncle, Dad's brother. It's intergenerational, so it really does help to take a look back into the past. And, Raj, I've been in the city for a long time. And, I know I'm a country boy. I don't forget my roots, but I kind of lost track from time to time of the value of the small town. And I'm not going to go as so far to say as I disrespected the beauty and the value of a small town, but I kind of just lost track. And this has been a really, really excellent project for me. So I really thank you for, doing this with me. And again, for those that don't know, Raj has been collecting Miramichi's history, local history, and the surrounding area for decades. Mostly newspaper clippings. There's brochures, there's pamphlets, there's special editions, there's photographs. And he shares it with the community, and he goes to people's homes all the time and pulls stuff out of his cabinets, which I'm discovering there's more cabinetry full of stuff than I had expected. I'm not surprised. So this is Raj, and once again, Raj, here we are. This has been a really excellent project. I'm drinking a nice cup of coffee from Creative Grounds up in Chatham. Victor, the owner up there, has a great operation going. And it's been, this is a delicious Americano. So, Raj is, we just had a snowstorm yesterday. And today's a blue sky and the cleanup. And he was out snow blowing everybody's yard yesterday.
So it's it's a great day after.
Yeah, it is. It's a beautiful blue sky. It's calm. The snow is all fluffy. And we have had a very mild March, abnormally. And the snow had all melted away. So all of a sudden we went from having, no snow to now it looks like winter again. But did you see the river today?
Yeah, it's pretty wet looking.
Yeah. I don't remember the water showing in March ever. Mind you, I haven't been around in 20-something years.
We might encounter our earliest ice departure this year.
Yep, but out front there, it's broken
Yeah.
apart. Okay, so what are we starting with today, Raj?
Well, because it's the talk of the city.
Yes.
Back in '87.
Yes.
This is a map that was put in the local paper on the proposed bypass over on the other side of the river.
Okay. Oh wow, the Northern Bypass. As I've been home, I still see signs on people's yards saying Northern Bypass now. Vote Northern Bypass. This is a proposal from 1987.
Yeah.
So that's how long the talks have gone on.
Pretty good drawing, and where it starts from the Anderson Bridge and it heads on back down through the woods, down past Douglastown, Newcastle, Douglastown, and right down to the highway going to Bathurst.
Okay.
And there is an intersection on the O'Keefe Road. So
Okay.
It's a pretty good little article at the time.
So this is from 1987. This is over in Newcastle right here. And that black line, that arc at the top, that shows that's the Northern Bypass, was proposed to cut through the northern part of our city here that connects onto... I think Route 11 turns into Route 8 going to Bathurst. So into Route 8, and that just shows you that was 1987. That was my math. 13 and 24 is 37 years ago. This was being spoken about, and there's still, like everything in society, I'm on this side, you're on this side, yay, nay. So we'll see what happens with this in the future.
So back at that time back there, that was all cut out.
It was already cleared.
Oh, it was all cleared out.
Oh, wow.
They would have had to deal with some of the brooks there.
Okay, yeah.
Piping and stuff.
Yep.
But people that had businesses along the highway over there were against
We're
that.
against it, yeah.
And thought it was going to interrupt their their profits in their business.
But like me, I'm a guy that, I learn from some professors in the readings that I do. I always am trying to look at both sides. I would have to listen to both sides of an argument. And, I'm interested in a proper discussion that way. And I really I'm neither here nor there. So another thing is, Raj, when I'm watching these videos, I am recognizing that I'm animating my voice. Because sometimes this, I was talking to a friend today, he said he might be able to start talking about maybe a lapel for a microphone or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'll just, I'm not pushing you or prodding you,
okay.
But if you can, try to elevate voice.
Elevate the voice, okay.
Okay,
Oh, just to say hello to our lady that passed away a
few years ago?
A couple years ago, yeah.
Now, this woman right here, I think we're going to be visiting her granddaughter soon in one of the photos. Now, this woman right here, folks, she just passed away a few years ago, a world-class fiddler artist. She is absolutely a force of nature, a beautiful person. She is from our community here in Logieville. She was awarded the Order of Canada, and I just dropped into her daughter's house, Miss Mary Jane Kingston, hey Mary Jane, to ask her if she would sit here with us one day, and we would discuss all things Matilda Murdoch, Logieville's greatest artist. And if you YouTube Matilda Murdoch, you'll come across some stuff. And if you really pay attention, you will see how her music, it flows out of her seamlessly. It is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And we're proud of her in this little village here.
Yeah, because I had Maddie back me up with some music in the background while I was doing a lot of my foolishness there for entertainment.
Roger was an entertainer. We'll get into that. We'll show some pictures into the future. He was a dancer.
Yeah.
Is a dancer.
So before we go a little further, we just show how the local city puts out their brochures on,
Okay.
let's say, the...
This is 1987, Miramichi Agricultural Exhibition, a full package on paper. How times have changed. Everybody goes to their telephone now, checks everything out, but in the past, these things would come in. People would be able, they'd be sitting around a living room, a kitchen table. People would be able to flick through.
So the highlight a little further might be the Thrill of a Lifetime crowd. That's
Well, that's the beauty. I think we got more photos of that. Oh, there's Beverly Sullivan. I remember this photo. There was a former Logieviller. Her name was Beverly Sullivan. Look at that beautiful photo. Let's honor that. That is Bev giving her little goat a hug. That is wonderful. And I hope that this video gets to Beverly. Somebody shares that with her. Mr. Thrill of a Lifetime.
Yeah, I don't think we went by it. Oh,
there it is.
That's contestants there.
Okay, so back in the day, and you know, these men put themselves out there. The Miramichi, it's called it was like, instead of Miss Miramichi, this was called Mr. Thrill of a Life. The Thrill of a Lifetime, folks. These guys they looked in the mirror one day and said, you know what? I'm all that and a bag of chips. I might just put myself out there for Mr. Thrill of a Lifetime. Andy McLaughlin, Bill Hoban, Réjean Thibodeau, Rodney Mountain, and Paul Savoy or Savoy. And there's another special edition Roger's going through right now. I think it's the Irish Festival.
Yeah, the Irish Festival and just some of the entertainment there.
Okay.
And show the cover.
1987 Irish Festival, same style of a program. Again, our local historian Roger Cummel has collected this stuff for decades. It's all in mint condition. He has made his own trays or cases. What are we calling those things? He has made them out of metal, and they fit a newspaper without any damage. It deserves a lot of credit. And I don't know, the Irish Express was one of the acts back then in 1987. Look at these guys right here. Arms, like they before the photo said, okay, let's all fold our arms here and look all cool. The Irish Express is just one of the many groups who will appear at the 1987 Irish Festival. Left to right, John Connors, Martin Battle, and Michael O'Callaghan. Well, right on, Raj.
Okay.
Wonderful.
That's just ahead of because through the collection there may be some articles in those programs.
Oh, yeah.
Now we get to some of the local
sports.
The younger crowd of kids in the basketball here.
Okay. This one here says Dr. Loge girls. Dr. Loge is a middle school on the Chatham side. Win New Brunswick Bantam Championship. And here's a picture of this group of fine young ladies back in 1987. They look very proud and happy with their championship trophy. This was Mr. Mullen, Wayne Mullen. I remember him as a teacher. He was a very gentlemanly guy, and he used to coach some teams. Jennifer, I'm going to get into the front row. Darlene Skid, Debbie McLean, Trudy Smith, Linda Godfrey, Shelley Logie, Michelle Savoy, Wayne Mullen, Jennifer Skid, Brenda McLean, Jennifer Matheson, Mary McKnight, Melanie Gillis. I just ran into Melanie's son at the gym the other day. I didn't know it was her son, and he introduced himself. He plays basketball. He's a real nice guy. Kelsey McCormick, Tara Ross, and Kim Rashore, who happens to be our neighbor and a very underrated athlete she was in high school, especially in the sport of field hockey.
Yeah, so 30-some years ago, the photos were maintaining themselves as they're stacked all together.
That's right, 30 years ago, mint condition, folks.
Now, Jamie, you're involved with this little crowd.
No, I'm not on that. Oh, yes, I am.
Michael Lloyd is a sponsor of the...
Okay, this is from a banquet in 1987, the CRC banquet. There's Mike Lloyd of ESSO at the time, and he was handing out medals to this group of kids right here. I happen to be right here, And as somebody of my hockey caliber, who I used to have pretty good hands, but I wasn't the fastest or best player. So players like me, they used to give the most sportsmanlike to. Okay, so we have Mike Lloyd, Jason Sproul, Scotty Johnston, Trevor Sproul, Eddie Vanstone, and Brian Kingston of the Kingston business here in town. John Sokolowski, who has gone on, he went on to become an Olympian. John Sokolowski is a great guy. I think he lives in Calgary or Ottawa or something like that. And he's a top athlete and a great guy. Daniel McKinnon, Manny Saunders, Harry Williston, and Tim Brown. I haven't seen Timmy Brown in a long time. I used to hang out with him a little bit. Mike Stymus, Jamie Cummo, Nathan Adams, Stephen Hanna, and Jonathan Frazier. And, there's Jason Sproul, folks. He was a very, very excellent athlete growing up, baseball and hockey, and haven't seen him in a long time either.
Okay, well, that was just a handful, and Mike's dad here, George, is sponsoring.
So some more SO. There's Mike Lloyd's dad, George Lloyd, giving out some Bantam Awards from the same banquet in 1987, and any Logieveller knows what family this guy comes from. You couldn't mistake him a Cormac if you tried to. Rhodey Adams, Billy McCormick, and Andrew Johnstone, and we have Scott Daly and David Walsh, folks. Right on. That's cool, Raj.
Yeah. So
mint condition.
This is Adam.
Okay.
Penguins there.
And this team.
Mike Rudder, right?
Yeah.
That's Jason or
Mike Sproul.
Mike Sproul. Okay.
So in 1987, the Chatham Adam operation, their hockey team, they won the New Brunswick Adam Championship. And I remember my friends were playing on this team, and I was always a little bit envious. I wish that I was there with them. I played the next year, and we went to the final with Jimmy Malone as our coach. And that was one of my funnest years of hockey. So on this team, this team has some really good hockey players on it, let me tell you. Gary Traer and baseball players and other athletes. Shane McGregor, Dane Hambrook, Brent Trevors, Jason Sproul was the captain. He was a great defenseman, as I had mentioned, played university hockey, a little bit of major junior. Jeff Stymus, we call him Zim. He's married to Aaron Weeks, who grew up across the street. They come to this house right over there. Zim, I must say, is one of the all-time great guys in the Miramichi, and he was an excellent hockey player, let me tell you. Mike Stymus, Dax McLean went on to play university hockey at UNB and was one of their top scorers of all time. Jason Hackett in net. Dave McGregor was the manager, and we have Craig McCormick, who's Roger's neighbor to this day. Craig doesn't take a day off over there. He's got his hands into everything.
Oh, yeah.
Scott Stewart, who I was mentioning, we used to call him Doobie. I was mentioning the Raj the other day. I think Scott Stewart was an underrated hockey player, and I think that if all things lined up, he actually was professional caliber. He knew how to take, he was a defenseman, he knew how to take the body, he had a wicked shot, he was just a really, really underrated hockey player. Bobby Keenan was also very good. He came from the Air Force Base. Troy Butler, John Sokolowski, as previously mentioned. Dave McDonald, a good friend of mine growing up. Mark Berry was also a very hard-working player. He was a captain of several teams through the years in Miramichi. Very good centerman. Never took a shift off. You'd want him on the ice if you needed to kill a penalty for sure. Not taken away from your offensive talents, Mark. Brian Harriman, he is the son of Jimmy and Greg Malone's sister, and he's a great guy. And Peter Harriman, Brian Kerr, and Michael Sproul. Great looking team. They won it. Good for them.
Yeah. Now just read this. After reading this here, it'll probably tell what our next subject is.
Okay, our next subject right here, folks. Look at this photo, and people, hockey fans in the Miramichi know that that's Jamie Watling accepting a trophy. Jamie was a member of, and we're going to read this out, but we're coming with the Packers, folks. On behalf of Labatt's, Gordon Burns Wright presents the trophy for first place in the New Brunswick Senior Hockey League to Jamie Watling. He was the captain of the Miramichi Gagnon Packers. Jamie's a Logieveller. He was always a soft-spoken guy. I really liked him as a kid growing up. The presentation was made before the start of the first game of the semifinal series between the Packers and Minto. So there it is, folks. Remember 1987, the Packers. It was exciting time. As a kid, I was going up to those games. I thought it was the NHL. I thought it was the NHL, Raj.
Oh my God! Well, you're gonna highlight one of the top
broadcasters
of this big part of the whole series is this guy.
Yes.
And then, show
yes.
the rest,
So anybody that was following this at the time, and I'm sure people that are watching this, that's actually Jamie Watling. It says that he's watching Sterling Loga's 3-3 tying goal enter the net. But another exciting part of the whole Packer mania was this guy right here. Hoppy Dunn, folks. I think Hoppy Dunn was just like, let's just say if we're scaling it at a 10, and then guys that are 8 out of 10 go on to be professional broadcasters, I think Hoppy was just like a close to, like he was probably like a 6.5 or a 7. He just couldn't get there, but he was really good. It's been a wild couple of days for the AA hockey fans. The Miramichi Civic Center is packed for the Eastern Hardy Cup series between the Smiths Falls and Miramichi Gagno Packers. And that's Hoppy Dunn broadcasting the game. He was animated, and let me tell you, it was fun times, eh? Everybody was like tuned into the radio if you couldn't get a ticket. And we had some Logievillers on that team who we will be visiting here. Yeah. Because even though this is the Mirami-histor-chi, Roger Como is a lifelong Logieviller. I grew up right next door to Raj. And so Raj obviously documented in his personal collection some Logieville stuff.
There's our Logieville scoring.
Okay. So we're going to show you Packers 1 game away from championship. This is in that exciting run. And ladies and gentlemen, this photo right here is one of, we're going to have to just go right ahead and call this guy one of Logieville's greatest athletes ever. He not only played softball, but he was an excellent hockey player. And that is Mr. Larry McDonald. I was just speaking to Larry the other day up at the gym. He asked how my mom was doing following my dad's passing. Larry McDonald, number 15 of the Miramichi Gagno Packers, scored this pitcher play goal in the first game of the Hardy Cup Eastern Final against Smiths Falls, Ontario on Friday evening. So there's a great action shot. And then we have Dave Wicks celebrates a goal in the 3rd game of the best of 7. In that photo right there, that's Dave Wicks. But we're going to focus on that fine athlete right there, Larry McDonald. I hope to run into him tomorrow when I'm walking my sister's dog, Raj.
Yeah, there's a good chance. Now this is the championship.
And there's the championship. Sweep earns Packers national title. This young fan was part of Packer Mania on Sunday as the Miramichi Gagno Packers captured the Canadian Challenge Cup for national supremacy in senior AA hockey. And that young fan right there, that looks like Peter Harriman. If anybody can verify that, Peter Harriman. And there's Butch Waters with Peter Thorne giving a big hug after that. And I remember those 2 players. Butch was a defenseman, yes?
Oh, yeah.
And Peter was a very speedy, oh, you know what? Very speedy forward. On another note, I had a couple of comments, Raj, on this jacket that I wore. And people were asking me about it, where I got it. And I don't know if it's a one-off or not, but I was in Japan a couple of years ago visiting my wife's family and doing a project over there. I was actually building a cafe. And the house that we did was that we put the cafe in was abandoned for 20 years. Mm-hmm. The guy used to be a seamster. What do you call it? Not a seamstress, but he was a tailor. Oh yeah. And this was in his closet, and I just was like, I'm taking that home with me. And every time I wear it, somebody always comments on it.
Well, this whole article just depicts how
it was won.
And all scoring, but this is the team.
That's the team, okay.
The members are around.
Okay. And once again, look at the collection that Raj has. We are so lucky to be revisiting this. There's the Packers championship squad, 1987. I was right of age. I thought it was the NHL. And here is their roster. They won the Canadian Challenge Cup, senior champions in Canada. Denny Roy, remember him in net? No. Okay. Butch Waters, Robbie Daigle, Dale Hicks, Edmund Gagnon. This is the brass. Bev Bond. Jamie Watling was the captain. Alain Grenier and Yves Lavoie. Yves Lavoie was the big goalie.
Oh, yeah.
He was dynamite. He was very, very acrobatic. Then we had John McCrae, Ronnie Hardy. He's a great athlete from our community, baseball, hockey. Gary Matheson, Barry Colpitts, Larry McDonald, as previously mentioned. Rene Labbé.
Yeah, Labbé, yeah.
Labbé, Denny Noel, Jean-Guy Robichaud, Wayne Cameron, and Patrick Hoppy Dunn. And then we had Big Steve Pettipaw. Went on to a great wrestling career in Grand Prix wrestling. Yeah. Robin Taylor, Rene Lacouille, Dave Wicks, Peter Pinder, Jean-Francois Boutin, who came back to play some softball in Logieville. Rock Bois was a good player. Remember him?
Oh, yeah.
Eddie Pinder and John Dixie Bellevaux. Missing when the photo was taken were Sterling Loga, who was also a really good player from Campbellton, and Mike Frawley. What an excellent experience that was for us here in the Miramichi when this group of men won the Canadian Senior Championship.
Well, I have a really good, nice colored photo of that team right there. But anyway, just to bring back some great memories, this would be the final game.
Okay.
I think I probably should read that whole game because they were down 4-0.
Okay. This is how the West was won. And the voice of the Miramichi, okay? On Sunday afternoon, Hoppy Dunn was called upon to drop the first puck. Jamie Watling, team captain, presented Hoppy with a picture and appreciation for all he has done this season for the Packers. Sunday's game was very nerve-wracking as the Alberta team were leading 4-0 coming to the end of the first. But with only 9 seconds left, Alain Grenier scored to make it 4-1 before intermission, which arguably is the key point. If they don't score going into that, they probably don't win this. The middle frame recorded 2 goals and 2 penalties, all for the Miramichi team. And so it was 4-3 after 2. And at 3:02 of the third period, Sterling Loga tied the game. And 4 minutes later, Robin Taylor scored to put the Packers in the lead for the first time in the game. And the Alberta Eagles again tied the game just past the halfway mark of the final, but not to be outdone. Alain Grenier and Sterling Loga each picked up their second goals of the game to pocket the win for the Packers. Final score, 7-5. Right on, Raj. Yeah, Rock Bois. I forgot about that name. He was a really, really excellent player. Who would I compare him to? He was kind of like a Mike Gartner, where he wasn't like... He was kind of like a speedy sniper guy, kind of a secondary superstar, but always on the scoreboard. He was good, man.
Yeah. So after all this here, they had their parade, and we got a few shots of the parade here, and Hoppy, of course, and Watling, and some dignitaries there. Gagnon.
Oh, yeah. Edmund Gagnon was he was the owner and the.
Oh yeah, he's down the corner. So.
Okay, so that's the Packers parade. There's Hoppy right there. Peter Thorne, I think he came out of the Fredericton area, Minto. He was a pickup. Jamie Watling, the captain, handsome Jamie Watling with, it's probably, what were his kids' names again? Jeremy, Darby was the girl. They lived in Logieville for a while, and Hoppy Dunn. It was, Jeremy. That was Jamie and Jeremy. The fans mobbed the players for pictures and autographs after the parade on Monday. Well, like again, Raj, I thought it was the NHL when I was a kid up there. Yeah. I remember going up to a game with Dad there, and I remember Larry scored a big one. Yeah. And Dad was, telling me.
Okay, we're going to do a complete reversal here.
Okay, we're going to switch some gears now.
We're going to go over to Ray Fraser. Meeting with Yvonne Durrell.
Okay, Yvonne Durrell, the fighting fisherman, the boxer from Basin Inn.
And Ray Fraser was always talking about trying to do a movie with
Yvonne. So
I got it highlighted there where you kind of...
Okay. Ray Fraser is looking forward to seeing a movie based on his book about former boxer Yvonne Durrell. Fraser is the author of The Fighting Fisherman, a biography of Durrell. And even when I was writing the book, I felt eventually it would be a movie. and perhaps more widely known on the Miramichi in his book, The Black Horse Tavern. Dave Butler, a local English teacher, I put that in quotations. My sister had him for English. Columnist for the Miramichi Leader says Fraser also had a private collection of poems entitled Poems for the Miramichi. Okay, so there's some photos right here. There's Yvonne Durrell. This woman here was looking. She was the producer. Her name was Gillian Richardson. And then here's a photo over here of Ray Fraser with Yvonne Durrell and Durrell's wife, Teresa. So they're on the bay, and then I don't know if that movie ever got made. No. So if anybody out there knows if that movie ever got made, keep it in your back pocket, and the next time you see Roger come out snow blowing snow, stop him and let him know what the answer to that is.
Yeah. Okay, we're just going to go back to some more awards here before we go to a roast.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. Want to find out who was roasted. So you get through this here with the floor hockey.
Okay, so this is from June 10th, 1987. Chatham Assistant Recreation Director Walter McCarthy, episode 2 if you want to see his wedding photo, congratulates Chatham Men's Floor Hockey League MVP Eddie Marsh left. Eddie Marsh was also a shortstop for the Ironmen. And league's most dedicated player, Mike Arsenault. So that's Walter with Eddie Marsh and Mike Arsenault. This is floor hockey, folks. Look at how the local paper just covered everything. People were connected. And then we have Floor Hockey Awards. Top goalie, Ivan Dunn. Most valuable goaltender. So how can you be... It was Ed Leggett. So how can you have a top goaltender and the most valuable goaltender? Don't get it. Then there was Walter McCarthy. And then we have Eddie Marsh as the top defenseman. Or sorry, the leading scorer. And then the top defenseman was Jerry Dignam. So these are the Chatham boys playing some road hockey, or floor hockey. And I'll tell you something right now, Raj, about being a Canadian boy. And you know it as well as I do. All you have to do is give a bunch of Canadian boys some sticks and a ball and put them on a floor, and there's going to be a fight. I'm sure that got chippy. I'm sure she got chippy.
So we'll show the photo of the guy sitting at the bench for the roast, and if you want to do a little reading on all the guys that roasted this.
Who are they roasting, Brian?
Oh, wait till you hear this.
Okay.
Joe Rishaw.
Okay, so this is a roast on the Miramichi. You know, the old days when we roasted people and everybody had a laugh and people were not being offended and canceling people and people losing their jobs. We all took it as a joke. The sports community roasts Joe Rashore. A roast Monday night honored Joe Rashore of Moosehead Breweries, who has assisted sports on the Miramichi for the past 7 years. He has been promoted to the company's head office in St. John. At the head table were from left, Liberal leader Frank McKenna, Bill Donovan of St. John, Joe Rashore himself, the MC Jean LeBlanc of Bathurst, MLA Roger Clinch, and Peter Murray, Moosehead's GM. So folks, there's a roast of Joe Rashore on the Miramichi with Frank McKenna as one of the roasters.
So there's other roasters here.
Okay. And this is part of that roast. Roast honors Rashore's sports efforts. I'm reading backwards when I put that on the screen there. Okay, so he attended St. Thomas, and I'm just gonna. Okay, so some other head table speakers were Patrick Hoppy Dunn. Now, how many people would actually know Hoppy Dunn's real name? Because we only know him as Hoppy, but it's Patrick. John Lorden, who was also a prominent Miramichi athlete, teacher, musician. Peter Murray, as per mentioned. Joe Billy Silly Quill Donovan. Yeah. Roger Clinch, Frank McKenna, Willard Vickery, Gary Appleby, Eddie McDermott, and George Lloyd. Okay, Raj, that is really, really excellent to be sharing something like this.
Yep.
I see some Chatham boys coming up here.
And because of the roast there, we're going to show Joe there doing what he usually does.
Okay.
Present trophies.
Okay. So Moosehead representative Joe Rashore presents the NBAHA Bantam champions with the Pure Later Challenge Cup. Left to right are Chris Hambrook, Joe Rashore, Captain Jason McLean, and Terry Morris. Okay, so anybody that followed hockey in Chatham in the 80s would recognize Mr. Terry Morris, who went on to play for Princeton and become the captain of that team. I think it was Princeton. This is Jason McLean, who the son of Paul and Marjorie. He was a really excellent player as well. And this is one of my good friends growing up, Dane Hambrook's brother, Chris. And those three guys were always very excellent hockey players in our community.
Yeah. Okay, I think we already did this one. This is duplicate.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I've got some of the females now.
Okay. Best Petites, the 11 and under category in the Chatham Ringette Association. Okay. So there's some Ringette Awards being awarded right there. There's Krista. I know her. Okay, so we have Krista McDonald, most valuable player. Terry Kerr, son of Richard and Phyllis, most dedicated player. Coach Julie Hanna, who presented the awards. Shauna Bowes, that's one of my sister's good friends, most improved player. And Tanya Arsenault. Tanya Arsenault was my age growing up, and she was arguably the top athlete I think she won Athlete of the Year in my grade. She went on to play basketball and volleyball, and not only was she a good athlete, one of the best young women you'd ever want to meet. And, okay. Oh, actually, I'll do this. Amy Schofield. So there's some more awards here. Okay. Amy Schofield. We got Amy Schofield, Tammy Sweeney. Joe Sweeney was the coach. Assistant coach, Wolfgang Huxma. Charlene Giggy, and most dedicated player, Barb Moore as the most improved player. Barb was my age as well. I think she taught my sister's children in kindergarten. They loved her as a teacher. Barb is an awesome human being. Roger knows Johnny very well. But Huxma, okay? I don't know if we're going to come across that tall guy in the middle, Wolfgang Huxma. I saw him still, I think was he triathlon or marathons, whatever he was training for. I saw him running, and he was like a solid, strong athlete. And I saw him running the other day over near French Fort Cove, and I'm assuming it was with a granddaughter. So he's still running, Raj, after all these years.
Well, eventually you're going to get a little photo of his dad.
Okay.
Gunther. Okay, this is both sides
okay.
schools.
This is MBHS and James M. Hill, the two major high schools in our community. These are the Athletes of the Year 1987, ladies and gentlemen. We have John Corlett and Natalie Fowley. And this is Sean Wood. And I'm going to have to read who this is. Sean Wood. And who was that? Female Athlete of the Year. Over here. Hetherington was chosen for her contributions to field hockey. Lisa Hetherington. Lisa Hetherington, Sean Wood, Natalie Fowley, and that young, handsome guy right there, John Corlett. I remember we went to play paintball years ago near Red Bank?
Oh my God.
That was John Corlett's business. And I always have a good memory of John Corlett playing softball here in Logieville. He used to play baseball. Later on, he came to play some softball with the boys. He was a left-handed hitter, great athlete, and I remember him in center field one time, running back into our deep right center porch and just making an amazing diving catch. I just always have that visual. Okay. He's a teacher now at the... Timeout. Oh, we're going to have a timeout? Right. Okay, so what are we at now? 37 minutes. Raj and I are going to press pause here. We're going to go for a little break. And maybe before we go for the break... Yeah. No, I'll show this after the break from our sponsor. Okay. Okay, Raj, we're back now. Here's what just happened. because we are missing our tech guy today. I just spoke for like 10 minutes and record was not on, so I'm gonna go back and try to duplicate what I just said. Okay, we are starting with a guy named Brian Richard, folks. A local guy that puts so much time into the newspaper and put so much time into dedicating himself to cover local sports primarily. And I knew Brian's daughter, Carrie, from university. His son, Kevin, I think, is heavily involved in the soccer, as is his granddaughter, who just coached my niece. And Raj, have you, like Brian, I think he was a long-distance runner, was he not?
Yeah,
I remember seeing his name.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was involved with
Right.
that there, yeah.
And do you see him around town anymore? Is he still looking good and all?
Well, we're different ends of the city.
We're
there,
different
but
ends of the city.
occasionally, yeah, we'll,
But once in a while you see him, eh?
yeah.
So this is something that Brian Richard covered right here. And as Logievillers, we come from a softball tradition. We love our softball. I'm still playing in Vancouver. I still pitch on a bad knee, but I'm a part of a team and I love it. And here's look at the coverage, okay? We're just trying to show how a local paper years ago covered stats. It was exciting times, and two Logievillers here are highlighted. This guy, he led the league in hitting, David Robichaud, and this is our other neighbor here, Troy Ross, the son of Donnie and Cheryl. Very 6'4", used to pitch. He had a pretty successful pitching career. But David Robichaud that year, he had 98 at bats, 42 hits. He batted .429. And another Logieviller that year, Jamie Watling, was third in hitting at .412. And we had the Hashy boys, Azaid and Wayne, had good years. And it just shows you how interesting they kept things at that time.
I should mention the second place hitter here.
Oh, Gary Matheson of where's he from?
Well,
Nelson? Newcastle?
Yeah, somewhere up around maybe in Newcastle.
Okay. So Gary Matheson, he was second that year in batting average of .4 but he did have 36 less at bats. So Jamie Watling had almost the same as David, and so he had a longer season there. Yeah. But it just shows you how well things were covered back then.
Statistics by Brian.
Yeah, the statistics by Brian Richard. Credit is due. And here's another picture of Troy Ross, young Logieviller, had a successful pitching career, and that's him in full action right there. He was about 6'4". I remember, Raj, I only faced Troy Ross a couple of times in my life. And one of them was, I was like probably 21 or something at the time. I was living in Fredericton. I came back for a tournament. It was in Blackville. And I honestly thought I got it. I had a good at-bat against him. I thought I connected. I thought I got it. And it was actually Jamie Jenkins at a Chatham. He's another 6'4" boy at center field. And he just reached over. He didn't even have to move. He just stood at the warning track. It would have been a home run, but he just reached up and grabbed it. So I would have knocked one out off of Troy. And just to show some more, this is just the Chatham League softball. So that other stuff was top tier. The Chatham League had like 5 or 6 teams. It was all covered in the local paper as well. Little roundups every night. And the pitching records are kept here. Brian Richard, we thank you very much for all of the work that you've done. And I hope you've been honored over the years for your work. Top pitcher that year, Boyd McKinley, 11-0. Greg Lynch was 7-1. And 2 Logievillers, Troy Ross at 8-2, and Jimmy Kelly at 6-3. And Boyd McKinley, I remember him as a kid when he was just near the end of his career. He'd show up after work. He'd wear coveralls to warm up. He was very eccentric, interesting guy. But Mr. Man, could he pinpoint his ball, and he was good. He had all pitches in the arsenal. And Raj just handed this over to me. Anybody in the Miramichi knows this fine young guy right here, Brian Morris, the son of Greg Morris and Linda Morris of Chatham. Terry and Kathy were his brother and sister, and he is winning an oratory award with Bookham. Danny Carter, the son of Ray and Janet Carter at Chatham, and Danny runs the store, and I can't remember the name, I'm so sorry. It's the convenience store on Wellington.
Yeah.
But I used to play my pro line in there. St. Michael's Elementary students took part in public speaking. Brian Morris and Danny Carter, they took top honors in the grade 3 and 4 division. In the bottom photo are Erin Weeks. Her childhood home is right across the street, right here from where we sit. And Anitra Travers. Oh my God, I haven't seen Anitra in a long time. And they were the winners in the grade 5 and 6 category. And look at that beautiful photo, folks, of two beautiful Miramichi women, Erin Weeks and Anitra Travers. And Danny Carter and Brian Morris. And thanks to Roger Como for cutting this out and saving it from 1987.
So we're going to get into some teachers.
Oh,
and
yeah.
We're going to start off with this solo teacher.
Oh, yeah. Hot dogs for sale. Here's a picture of a teacher. It says hot dogs for sale. Local newspaper covering everything, folks, in our community back in the day. Lloyd Cameron and Margaret Clancy barbecue hot dogs for the hot dog sale at Northumberland Square in Douglastown. $1 bought a person a hot dog and a pop. The profits went to the IWK Hospital for Children. Wow.
Yeah. So now they're going to honor a lot of our teachers here. It's quite a contingent.
Oh, wow.
And they're honored for teaching for 25 years, so it's done in 2 different photos.
Oh, wow. So 2 different photos, teachers at 25 years. And once again, Raj had the sense to not only cut out the things, like everything of interest to him. You know, he's a big sports fan, but he just knew to, like, it's very special to honor people in our community from this is 25 years teaching in our community. Here is a photo from 1987. And some names we'll read. We have Lenore Masterson, Sister Anne St. Coeur, Carl Burns, Richard Walsh, and James Doyle. And James Doyle we mentioned on a previous episode, a very, very distinguished gentleman and a high educator for many years.
He taught me.
He taught Roger.
And David Butler.
And David Butler.
And John Lorden.
So we have Francis Blakely, Teresa Whitty, Pat McCluskey, Gerald Glynn. I had Gerald Glynn before he retired, Raj, for a physics teacher.
Yeah.
And I say, to this day, he was one of my top teachers in high school.
Wow.
He knew how to teach physics. I really, really was, I loved his teaching. Lori Baldwin and Hazen Sweeney, folks.
Yeah.
And then we have some more teachers here.
Yeah.
25 years teaching. You know, I just hope that these teachers had the capacity to recognize those students who sometimes didn't like to sit in class and be, you know, closed in by walls and were looking outside and wanting to do different things. I hope they recognize those young students as well. I just happen to be one of those kids. So we have Shirley McDermott, Mary Dunn, Margaret Ross, Phyllis McLaughlin, Carmel Gill, Margaret Murphy, and Frances Gordon. Maureen LeBlanc, James McDonald, Jean Thompson, Dennis Bennett, and Edna Bro. Miss Bro, right, she taught French. So Raj, thank you for sharing those. And that is the full arsenal of these teachers being presented and honored for 25 years of teaching children in the community that a lot of times did not want to sit down. They wanted to do other things. It's a very difficult job to do. And it was great, Raj, that you took the time to honor these people. James M. Hill graduation on June 16th, 1987. We have the valedictorian and the salutatorian. Okay, Elizabeth Godin. How do they say it? Godin, right? Godin. And Mark Glynn. She was the valedictorian in 87, and Mark Glynn was the salutatorian in 1987, folks, honoring top scholastic achievements. It would be very interesting to know where those young students, how they made their lives. And, you know, my sister Lana, my oldest sister, and her husband Greg Cassidy of Nordine, one of their boys, their middle boy, he was actually the valedictorian in his class down in a high school in Lewiston, Maine. He is a high-achieving guy in many regards, a great young man. And you know what he told me, Raj? He told me that when he has a family and children, he's never, ever gonna tell his children that he was the valedictorian until at some point they just ask. He goes, he's gonna wait on it. Yeah. And he goes, and if one of my kids says, "Oh, Dad, where'd you finish in your class?" He's gonna say first. So he said that he was gonna wait for them to ask him. So there's a shout out to Will Cassidy at the University of Maine in Orono. He's a black bear. He's still knocking it out of the park with a perfect grade point average, and he's well rounded. He plays sports and he knows what's going on.
Yeah, so this clipping here is news from the Northumberland News on 4 retired teachers, and this Rennie Noel taught me.
Oh, wow. So one of Roger's teachers in 1987. Here's a photo of 4 retired teachers. I recognize one guy. And, you know, District 10 honors retiring personnel. So here we are. We're just showing how important teachers are to our community, to our society. And we have District 10 hosted a dinner at the Portage restaurant. When you go to the Portage for breakfast, what do you get? Just a couple of eggs, a couple of pieces of toast, some sausage? You go sausages or bacon?
Well, mostly bacon, but sausages once every 2 months.
Once every 2 months, Roger will go sausage. Okay, so they were honored at the Portage, and from left to right are Rennie Noel. So Roger had him as a teacher over in Newcastle.
No, Chatham.
Oh, in Chatham, sorry. Yeah, you went to St. Thomas.
Yeah.
Yep, before it moved. Mm-hmm. Carmel Gill, Clyde Williston, and James McDonald. And James McDonald, was he Nappin or Logieville?
He's retired right here in Logieville.
He's Logieviller.
In the beach country.
Yeah. Yep. Francis Gordon and Dorothy McCarthy, they were unable to attend. But Jim McDonald, this man right here, he was a complete gentleman. And he went to our church and stuff like that. His son Mark was one of my teachers in middle school, and Mark was a distinguished bagpipe player.
Oh, yeah.
And Mark, I'd like to know where Mark McDonald is right now, because he inherited a class that I was in that was very, very misbehaved. And he was so good with us, and he deserved better than us.
Now, this is a lady honored for maybe a lot of the ladies in the city here that might have had her for a hairdresser.
Okay. Oh, wow. This is beautiful. So, you know, a small community, any community deserves to have their people recognized. And here is no exception right here. This is a photo in the local paper from 1987, folks. And they are honoring Jesse McKenna and Norman Godin present Jenny Wise with an award for 27 years of service in the hair fashion industry. The presentation was made during Saturday's beauty extravaganza, and Jenny Wise, just before we did this episode, she did my hair, folks. 37 years later. Isn't that wonderful? So that's Jenny right there, being honored for 27 years as a hairdresser. Right. So actually, my family, we get our hair cut from a woman named Pam Brown, and she's what's it called, New York Style or something, underneath the Chatham Bridge there. Yeah. And she's so good. She does my nephew Luke. She does my mom. She does and she did my haircut since I've been home.
So thanks, Pam. A notable thing is about this Russian ship that came into our warfare in Chatham.
Oh wow.
Newcastle maybe, or Chatham.
Oh wow. So we live on a massive river here, folks, that does have a channel that's able to accommodate large ships. And Roger has many interests. He recognizes the sports, he recognizes the people, and he's interested in anything that's happening, really. And you know what, Raj? It's really impressive to me since I've been doing this project, and I'm really learning the scope of what you've collected. Seriously. I've been telling people all around. Okay, so shown above is the ship Kapma from the Soviet Union. The vessel docked at Chatham's Wharf on the weekend and will be taking on Gaspereau from local fishermen. Gaspereau is a fish.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, so that's that. And then I'm going to switch gears for just 1 second, Raj.
Okay.
Before it gets too late.
Okay.
A word from our sponsor. So our sponsor, one of our sponsors, is Roger's daughter Amanda, which I have to go get another item from her to show. I don't have it. But, okay, so Corey Wishart, the local Miramichi craftsman, folks. Corey Wishart, his stuff is called Wishworks. And you can find Wishworks at the Core store. We'll tell you how in a second. But Corey makes this. Corey makes everything. Like, he is a very talented craftsperson. He doesn't ask questions. He goes and searches information. He learns how to do. He does ask questions, sorry. But he does it by, the point I was trying to make is he learns how to do things for himself. He just says, I'm going to figure out how to do that. So Corey, this is an axe that he made for Roger. Okay, so Corey makes the leather case right here. He makes all that. He figured out how to do that all on his own, just YouTube videos and trial and error. He has a little button there to close it off. Roger's initials are in there, RC.
And that's fastens to your belt buckle.
It fastens to your belt buckle. See those two little slots right there? That you can put that right around your belt. Roger puts that on his belt every time he walks through the woods, folks. And I just called our sponsor, Corey. He made the handle. Don't know what kind of wood it is. The leather sheath on that, that's all his work. Look at that work, folks. I asked him if he made the head, the axe head. He said no, but he restored it and refinished it. And then the question I asked him on the phone was like, Corey, could you make it if you had to? He's like, oh yeah. So there's another one. So if you're wondering and you're wanting a gift from a local craftsperson and Corey's your guy and you like the look of his work on this episode, well, you're just wondering how to get in touch with Wishworks at the Core store, well, all you have to do is plunk yourself anywhere in the Miramichi and surrounding area and just the first person you see walking by say, do you know Corey Wishart? And somebody will, and they'll steer you to how to get in touch with him. So Corey, look at the work, folks. It deserves to be recognized. Okay, Raj.
So I told you we were going to get back to Wolfgang Huxma.
Oh, yeah.
So this is his dad.
Oh, wow.
And this is a boat.
Oh, wow.
Getting back to the ship there.
Oh, yeah.
The boat that he built or whatever.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we just mentioned Wolfgang Huxma, the local triathlon. I think he was triathlete, maybe Ironman and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Massive athlete. Saw him running as a grandfather with probably his granddaughter the other day. Haven't seen him in years. Hobby keeps growing. So that's Wolfgang's old man right there. His father was Gunter Huxma. So German, I wonder what generation they were, living in the Miramichi. And I don't know what this story is yet. It's a steel hull pleasure boat. Gunter Huxma's boat building hobby just keeps getting bigger. Wow. With his fifth and largest undertaking, Huxma has constructed an all-steel hull, steel-planked boat. Holy old crap. The prime purpose for building this boat, which took almost 8 years to complete, is to find out if there's a market for a steel hull pleasure boat. Well, that's probably the most impressive thing we've heard all day.
Oh.
Except for Larry McDonald's goal and the Packers.
How many people it can accommodate?
Oh, wow. Okay, so he says, he would have to charge $750,000. He said his boat is worth about $300,000. He plans to take the boat by water to the U.S. to advertise its capabilities at boat shows. Mm-hmm. 8 people can live for a prolonged period of time on the boat, Huxma said, and 50 or 60 people could come aboard, no trouble. The boat only needs about 7 feet of water to float, he said. If the keel was not there, it would take roughly 3.5 feet. Now, that's one of the most impressive things that I have read on this. And we have a local guy here. You guys just hear what he just did right there? And, we're in a time in our society right now where, people, are we losing touch with working with the hands and doing certain things? Now, there's an example of a person right there that just made his own boat. And I'm sitting you know, I just showed you an example of another Miramichier taking the time to build his own things. Roger, I grew up in a family with my Uncle Raj and my father, but you know, Raj is sitting here with me right now. Roger built the house that we're sitting in right now. Everything that was done around, there was no complaining about things. There was no, it was just get out, figure it out, do it. And Raj, you know how much richer that makes a life, right? When you're working with your hands and doing something for yourself, it just makes you feel good.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So folks, get out there and do something.
Last two items.
Last two items.
Pee-wees there.
Okay. Tops and Pee-wee 87. We have a photo of 4 fine Miramichi boys getting some trophies at an awards banquet. And those names will read as Pee-wee House League Awards, MVP Richard Skeen, I remember him. Top defenseman Richard McDougall. Oh, okay, we're going to go back to him. Back row top scorer Shannon Keown. He was a baseball player, great guy. Went on in the trades. I think he was instrumentation. And top goalie John Nason, the son of Mr. Terry Nason, who was my art teacher and who was the favorite guy that I used to like coming to our school because we were doing art, which I loved the most. And this guy, Richard McDougall, never heard him called Richard McDougall. We always called him Chris. And more so than calling him Chris, we called him a Yaki. So if you are ever running into this guy right here, I just ran into him the other day after many years of not seeing him. He lives very nearby here, and he has a great family, and we called him Yaki. And if you're wondering why, and you see him on the Miramichi, just stop and start talking to him.
Okay,
yeah.
So our last item is a team that really dominated Industrial Hockey League in '87 from Rogersville.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the Industrial Hockey League, Raj. Okay, so Rogersville Club 126 takes title, and there's a great photo. And this is, you know, anytime you win a title, it doesn't matter what league you're playing in, it means something because that's what level you're playing at. And it's always special to do that. Ludger Daigle and Danny Petrie celebrate the winning of the Miramichi Moosehead Industrial Hockey League with a 5-4 victory over Chatham James Reddies to win the best of 7. Now, best of 7 Industrial Hockey League. So, Raj, what exactly was the Industrial Hockey League for those of us that are too young to remember?
Well, it's just basically a whole pile of guys that were working.
Mm-hmm.
And it was probably a chance to play hockey, and you didn't have to travel.
There was no traveling, and it was hitting hockey.
Oh yes.
It was checking hockey. It got pretty gritty. There was lots of some dirt going on, some scraps and all that stuff.
Well, that's hockey.
And that's hockey. So the league champions from 69-70 to 86-87, we have Blackville, Nelson St. Pat's, Heath Steel, Nelson St. Pat's, Heath Steel. Sunny Corner won it in 75-76. Heath Steel. They must have had a juggernaut. Sunny Corner again, Rogersville in 79-80. Noranda, Sunny Corner again. The High-Low Mooseheads, the Nelson Schooners. There was no league because of the fire at the rink. And Rogersville in 86-87, which we just showed. Now, this is what we're going to get at here. The league scoring champions from 1970-71, Willard Watling. 72, Jim McLaughlin. 72-73. Let me see now. I got to get my microscope. I can't read that one. Oh, Roger Como. He's sitting next to me. This man right here won the scoring title in 72-73. He was a centerman. 73-74, Herbie Dixon. 74-75, Roger Como. Well, what happened? How come you didn't win it 3 years in a row?
Well, in between there, one game we couldn't play because the team didn't have enough players.
Oh, okay.
And that cost me the...
You would have won 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, Raj. That's impressive, folks. 75-76, Frankie Foran, and then those years, David Foran, Frank Foran, Billy Gaston, Andre Landry, Ed Pinder, who went on to play for the Packers, Mike Gaba, Brian King, Tom McDonald, and Dennis Bordage. Would have been a 3-time scoring champ. That's really impressive. I remember as a kid Roger showing me the trophy, and I remember hearing stories about that. I was lucky enough when I came back one year from university to go up and play with Roger's old-timers team. Roger's son Josh went on to play some really high-level hockey, midget AAA, provincial champions. Roger, left-handed shot, saw the ice well, and as a kid, Roger and my father built a rink out in the yard there, and I was able to see this man's hands. And let me tell you, those hands are special, Raj. And my God, you were a puck hog. No, but my dad always made a joke of Roger Comeau's school of puck hogging. So maybe in future episodes, Roger has a little bit more information on his scoring titles from the Industrial Hockey League. Who were your line mates?
Billy Stymus.
Billy Stymus, the father of Kara, Heather, and I think it's Sherry Lynn. Yeah.
And Leonard Langtang.
Leonard Langtang.
Yeah. Local here in Main Street.
Yeah, Leonard Langtang came into my mother's house after the passing of my father and introduced himself to me.
He's living in Fredericton.
He's living in Fredericton. He works in the forestry, I think it is.
Yeah.
And I thought he was a real gentleman. Oh, wow, Raj, that's special.
Yeah, just a little thing about when Ronnie worked at the air base.
My father, Ronnie.
And of course, in the shops, he'd ask some of the guys if they had young lads that played hockey. And one of the young lads said, "Yeah, I got 2." Well, Ronnie would say, "Well, bring them down to Rogers Puck Hogging School."
Rogers Puck Hogging School. I remember it well, but you know what? Rod, your hands were amazing, and that just is a testament to how good they were. Centerman, Roger Comeau, 72-73 and 74-75. Says he would have won it in the year before that, but shortage of games. Yep. Okay, Raj, that was another. We had a great episode today. We're probably close to over 1 hour. Oh. We'll have to do part 2 of 1987, just maybe tomorrow or whatever your schedule is.
Next issue.
Next issue. Thank you very much. Thanks for those people that have been given some positive feedback. And just remember, Roger and I are doing this for fun. We're not trying to have some overly produced show or anything like that. We're doing it as a project for himself. We're honoring a local historian's collection of newspaper clippings and brochures and pamphlets and special editions from the past decades, like over 50 years.
It's giving us a chance to look back into the past that we're forgetting.
Yep.
And this year is kind of reviving our memories.
It's reviving our memories, and it's actually teaching me a lot, and it's making me look deeper into where I find myself at right now in life. I'm in a major tug of war.
Well, we're finding out stuff that we did lose our memory of, like Wolfgang's dad building a boat. I didn't even know I had that.
That's amazing. But not only are we those memories, we're uncovering the way that a community paper worked and how much coverage there was and how people were more interconnected and stuff like that. And it's no secret that is a major value that is falling apart. All you gotta do is open your eyes, folks. So it's helping me. I live in Vancouver. I've been on the Miramichi for a few months following the passing of my father, and I got a foot dipped in both oceans here, and I am in a major tug of war of what my next moves are. So thanks, Raj, once again for the lesson, and we will see you guys soon.
Okay.